This is Captain Everyman. I'm here today to address one of the most important questions in the MCU, and that is, why did Doctor Strange give Thanos the Time Stone? Now, there's going to be spoilers for Endgame and Infinity Wars and Doctor Strange, so if you don't want those, time to go right now, but I'm going to jump right into it. In Infinity Wars, one of the main plot points in the entire movie is when Doctor Strange hands over the Time Stone to Thanos. Even though he said over and over again he's not going to do that, he's not going to spare anybody's life, that it's his priority. And so the question of why he gives the time stone is a big one. I'm going to use today my superpowers, clarity, insight, and perspective to give you some insight into why that he did it. So we wonder, why would he give up the time stone when he said over and over again he wasn't going to do that? Well, let's look at Doctor Strange. He's one of the probably the most brilliant strategist in the MCU. And his defeat of Dormammu in Doctor Strange reveals that to us. I mean, it was brilliant. It was one of the most dramatic things we've ever seen, where a super powerful villain was taken down by somebody using strategy. And it was just amazing. Now, there's certain reasons why he would do that. Now, the first big one is, you look at how he defeated Dormammu. He used a time loop, and when he faces Thanos, we can be sure he's doing the same thing here. How do we know that? Look at the stone when he hands it over to Thanos, and you notice that it's already energized. That is a huge clue, because these stones that are not being used just look like any gem, but when they're being energized, they glow, because the energy that's from them is being used. Now, over and over again in Doctor Strange, he kept coming back after he was killed. Well, a similar strategy is being used against Thanos here. And when you think about it, a time loop that's set up has a beginning and end point to it. So he may have actually handed him the time stone like over and over and over again, and I believe that's exactly what he did. You remember when he looked into the future, he saw 14,605 iterations, or different times, that they faced Thanos. Now, in reality, there's always an infinite number of ways a certain event can take place, or a certain timeline can be changed. It's the butterfly effect. Any little thing you do could actually change it. So there'd be infinite numbers. But in this case, he gives you a finite number, 14,605. Now, why would that be? That's because he's repeated this loop over and over again until he finally comes to the one that gives him victory. And then he stops. So there's no reason to keep going an infinite number of times. But in this case, it took him 14,605 repeats till he finally defeated him. And so that was the last one. That was 14,605th attempt. He finally got victory over Thanos. He saw all the parameters he needed to have. And one of them obviously was keeping Iron Man alive. Tony Stark had to be alive for this to work. So this is how he defeats Thanos, and it's already happened actually. Because he's setting him up for that last one, for that 14,605th time when he finally beats him. One of the things he does, he keeps Iron Man alive, he keeps Stark alive. Other thing he obviously does is he gives him the time stone. Now, why would he do that? Why would he, other than setting up the loop where he can keep going back, where he uses the time stone and finally gives it to him, why would he do that? The first thing he does is he empowers Thanos, which I think people don't understand how that works. But what he does, he gives Thanos actually the power to come back in time. And this is something I've emphasized in another video. And think about this snap is not going to work. Anybody who's rational knows it won't. You don't need a degree in economics to realize that these parameters of resources being redistributed and so on are just going to reestablish themselves. The populations are going to come back. And even this time, maybe some of these resources won't even be there anymore because he's destroyed some of them. You can think that in some ecosystems that are really fragile, you destroy half the life in them, they're just going to die. In fact, the snap is going to do harm in the short term and do nothing in the long term. In fact, it might even have long-term effects that are bad and that aren't going to be recovered at all. So In the future, Thanos is going to realize what he did was idiocy. He's going to realize how horrible it was. He's going to realize it didn't work, and all this arrogance and satisfaction that he has when we see him retiring at the end of Infinity Wars. In Endgame, in the future, he's going to realize it didn't work, and that he's going to just look like a fool. He's become a criminal. He's become a murderer, and ultimately, what he thought was going to be generalized, that he was going to save Titan by killing half the population. But when he finally gets to do the snap in the distant future, when he's older, when he's seen what it brought about, which was nothing, he's going to feel disgraced. He's not going to have that kind of arrogant self-assurance that what he did was right. He was the only one brave enough. He realized he was the only one stupid enough to do it. So he's going to want to come back and stop himself. And this is what Doctor Strange is setting up. He's setting up Thanos to come back and fight himself. The Thanos that we see at the end of Infinity Wars won't even exist anymore. But in the distant future, the Thanos that realizes what a stupid mistake he made is going to come back to stop himself. He'll become an ally that the Avengers can use and Doctor Strange can use to finally put this whole thing to an end and rectify it to where the snap doesn't happen and everything's like it should be again. If you would, like and subscribe and comment and tell me what you think about this. And we'll see, obviously, in the future. And I'm really, really, really excited of Endgame. What a brilliant piece of storytelling this is. And I look forward to commenting and talking to you in the future when we get to see what really happens.